Hello all, this is the Owl, and as per your votes, we're going back into the abyss. Last time, we finally navigated Layer 3. Let's never, ever do that again. We climbed out through Madoka Jack Hell and stumbled onto a shortcut back to and back from Orth. Eventually, we re-cleared the freezing hot mines, slapped down a pathetically easy boss, and because I really didn't want to climb all the way back up again, decided instead to dip a toe into Layer 4. So today, let's see what exactly awaits us down there. So, Layer 4. I'll say one thing right off the bat. One or two problems aside, which we'll get into a bit later, Layer 4 is a much more enjoyable experience than Layer 3. This is helped by A. Layer 4's jank is on more of a slow boil, whilst Layer 3 was boiling over constantly, and B. It being a genuinely pretty zone. All blues and greens, rather than the ugly brown of Layer 2 or the confusing manky mess of Layer 3. A lot of folks have also called Layer 4 easy. I would disagree fairly strongly. It's certainly more intuitive layout-wise, meaning that navigation isn't the head-scratcher Layer 3 was, but it's got a few sections that legitimately make me want to eat a kitten sundae. Anyways. I head on into the Goblets of Giants, a tranquil, watery zone, and wait, what? Oh! Hi, Nanachi. That's a really fun little Easter egg, I'll say that much. And it sounds like Rikor and Reg have just arrived too, at least if the chronology here is going to make sense. Yeah, he says, trying to say it with a straight face. Sure enough, I almost immediately run into Rikor, and the fans go wild. Yup, this layer is substantially more story-filled than Layer 3. Almost too much in places. And occasionally it's just wall-to-wall fan service. Not that I mind being serviced from time to time. Regardless, our first priority is to find Rikor a specific sort of herb to cure her apparently lethal case of the hot poops. Oh, hi there, Tsukushi, you weirdo. Now, this zone may be a lot more intuitive than Layer 3 was, but it's still binary star, so you can't relax just yet. You've still got those bastard beetle things spawning in, and as you may notice, this also marks the return of a bug that I thought had been fixed with the patch. But it seems that only Layer 2 was fixed. Sometimes, the water shaders go mildly haywire, the water will vanish, and shadows will get applied to the wrong things. It's not a massive deal, but it's certainly irritating. The goblets are a weird zone. Flat, watery plateaus, generally bridged by bouncy leaves. Watch out though. It's far too easy to get cursed here, and as we are now on Layer 4, the curse not only gives you hallucinations, but it also causes you to rapidly hemorrhage. And here's what that looks like. After I decided to chance a second bounce, It's just fun and pretty lore accurate, but it does mean that getting cursed is even more of an instant reload than before. I explore a bit, then stumble on a "Wah! Water slide! Whee!" Yeah, okay, this game just earned an extra star. Man, I miss being young enough to ride those things without risking my spine literally climbing out of my butt and walking to the hospital on its own. Sure enough, I find the herb, grab it, and start making my way back to Rico. Now, this is one aspect of this area that I dislike, and it has to do with the means of traversal. The leaves are handy and fun, but they turn this into another Layer 2-esque stop-start run while I'm constantly forced to wait out the curse. It's a bit of a flow breaker, but at least this place is a million times more easy to navigate than Layer 3 was. At least for now. Don't worry, we'll get there. Rico's had the heinous because she ate a poo thinking it was an egg. Tsukushi, mate, are you okay? Because in all seriousness, I wonder if you have a poop thing. Like, it's okay if you do, but to everyone else, it's just so odd. Regardless, we chat with Rico. She's lost Reg, meaning that we get an extended fan segment where Rico is our sidekick. And of course, we are showered from every angle with references to the manga. I'm not complaining. I frigging love Made in Abyss. But I won't lie, these do get a bit tedious after the 8th bloody cinematic. Anyways, on to find Reg, and this is where Layer 4 really starts to show its claws in some rather annoying ways. Let's take a look. Rico is actually a pretty decent ally. She has the same problem of all the AI companions, sadly, in that she never shuts the hell up, but she deals a decent wodge of damage, will actually attempt to avoid enemy attacks, and best of all, she has no durability. And yes, I abuse the hell out of this, using her to kill a lot of enemies in order to keep my food bar filled gratis. We get a bit more story. Rico and Fukurou gradually become good friends, and we tell her about Tiare before being rudely interrupted by another headtail. Rico, I appreciate the caution, but let me stop you right there. I faced one of these things head on, and it was piss easy. But yes, I know, this is an excuse for another cinematic and some more mildly wanky fan service. I eat before heading into the next zone, the Great Vine Bridge, in search of Reg with Rico. This place looks confusing initially, but it's really all about finding rope points and working your way down. I will say though, if you're planning on heading straight down into Layer 4 from Layer 3, make sure that you've got plenty of rope. We also get some more cinematizing, and yeah, okay, moving along. At long last, we find our way to the quest marker, and a whole bunch of stingers. You know, it's good to see you again. Seriously, in terms of endlessly respawning enemies, I'd rather see these than those beetles. At the end of the zone, we enter a very pretty ruins area. Everything has this sort of mother-of-pearl sheen to it that I rather like, and we proceed through it to the Eternal Fortune Zone. Yeah, hopefully no amaranthine deceptors. I haven't brought my flamethrower. We find Reg and both of us start hallucinating. It's actually not him, this is all a projection by our first mini-boss of the lair, a creature called a Kudara. It probably has some attacks, I wouldn't know. I grabbed my pistol and blasted it a few times right up the gravy trumpet, while Riko beat it to death. Meh, she wants to head back to where we started, but first we need to make camp and get some grub. I'm sent out to gather ingredients, killing some more Kudara for meat, and yeah, in retrospect, I probably should just have gone back to Earth. I'm not having too many problems with food, thanks to Riko, but I'm starting to run low on ammo, and I'm almost down to my last pick. Sure enough, we find our way back up, interspersed with more cinematics. Wait, I thought Riko was a good cook, and it was just that her food looked a bit weird. Yeah, wankety vanity fan, I know. Soon we run into yet another mini-boss against 2 headtails. Easy, but I suck at QTEs. See, Riko, these are easy peasy, even when I'm being a Derposaurus Rex. And after we're attacked by some more, Reg pops up and Kamehamehas them, which, again, lore accurate, causes him to pass out. And this leads us to our first testicle-grindingly annoying part of Layer 4. All I can say is, make sure to save your game just before you activate this quest, and prepare for irritation. You'll probably want to grab a coffee and a snack before we go in. Actually, you know what? That sounds like a humdinger of an idea. See you in a bit.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
And we are back. The mini-boss fight here sounds simple on paper. Our goal is to protect the unconscious Reg by killing Horncryers. The problem? Well, how many would you think that we need to kill? 2, 3, nope, 7. 7 sodding damage sponge Horncryers. Worse yet, these aren't even much of a threat. Yup, this is the return of the Inbyor fight. Another did you bring a lot of stuff with you check. Only this one is both worse and better. I give it a few tries, but I am now down to my last pick, and I only have a few bullets left. There is no way I can kill them, and even if I do, that would mean either pushing forwards or trying to get back up through Layer 3 again, completely unarmed, which, no. So, what do? Well, now that I'm done with my wine, it's time for some cheese. See, Riko, while not the best, isn't too shabby in combat, and she has no durability. So, what I try to do is to lure the Horncryers into following me, dodge their attacks, while Riko goes to town. This takes a bit of a while, so I help her from time to time as I'm getting bored. And also because if she dies, and she probably will, you will then need to hide and evade until she pops back up, which takes a, shall we say, poop-eatingly long time. Damn it, Tsukushi, you got me doing it now. But yeah, this game, just when it's getting good again, it parks a particularly eggy fart like this fight. But at long last, the final Horncryer falls, and I get a ton of XP and a new weapon. we'll get to that. And we also get a rather fun bit between Reg, Riko, and Fukurou. All done now. They head off on their own, and I've got a choice to make. As always, I make the wrong one. If I had been smart, I would have said, sure, gone back up through layer 3 from here, sold my currently enormous collection of relics, bought some more food, picks and ammo, but nope. After checking whether I can't just fast travel up, spoiler, I can't, because this game hates me, I decide, sod it, I am going to push on through layer 4 and hopefully either fight a boss or unlock fast travel. This was a truly awful idea. First though, I decide to explore the zone some more, grab some more relics, and test out my new weapon. It's, yeah, okay, I know I'm probably earning myself a red shirt here, but I won't lie, this bit bugs me, probably more than it should. See, in the manga, Riko attempted to use this item to shield herself from an orb piercer, a venomous, yes, not poisonous, to all you biology pedants out there, a monster that I'm guessing I'll be running into myself soon. Now, I have it, and this, as you'll see shortly, is definitively before Riko and Reg encountered the piercer. Yeah, if you're going to do a fan game, especially when you involve the actual author, the least you can do is try to be lore and chronology accurate. Yeah, I've got no idea why this gives me the butt pains, but it does. Although, well, sure, it wouldn't have made a difference. Moving on. The weapon itself is actually interesting. At first glance, it seems to be a joke weapon, with only 1 damage on it. However, remember, damage is a product both of weapon and your level, so it can actually kill stuff. More importantly, the umbrella is damned near unbreakable, which makes it a fantastic weapon for getting rid of moths, stingers, and other low HP, endlessly spawning mobs. And it's also pretty good for getting food. The problem is that, over the past 11 hours of playtime, I've developed an instinct to avoid combat wherever possible, and this grinds against that. I'll get used to it. It's still a very nice little tool to have, and it's one that's never going to leave my inventory. After a bit, I take another death, probably my stupidest death of the run. As I attempt to set up a rope, Mrs. Owl asks me something, I think about Dungeons and Dragons, and I, distracted, absent-mindedly fat finger the wrong button and leap joyfully down into the eggshell blue void. Except that, I don't get the standard reload option. Instead, I am left broken and busted up, and am found by a familiar piece of furry bait. Oh, it's Nanachi. Except that she's not actually saving us. Turns out, this is pre-Riko and Reg Nanachi, meaning that she's still chaotic neutral. We are going to be another experiment to try and find a way to kill her mutated friend, Mitty. Yeah, this is all stuff from the manga. Also, oh crap, she has a knife. But we are saved by the fact that Mitty likes us. So Nanachi instead nurses us back to health. We get a fun little section where I have to choose some food to give her, and I decide to go with the top shelf stuff, hoping for a, aw yeah, there's the nah, likely a reference to a panel in the manga that I genuinely love. It's just, that's so wholesome, and After I feed her some of Laffy's cooking, Nanachi becomes our friend. I'll give the game this. Yeah, the fan service can go a bit far sometimes, but it is kind of fun to see all this stuff in an explorable 3D space. On the other hand though, where the hell am I now? I head out into Nanachi's backyard, another really pretty zone, and enter another stunning zone, the secret hot springs. Yeah, the effort on display here is legitimately impressive, but it's a bit weird after how scruffy layer 2 and 3 looked. I make my way along, and eventually I find the part of layer 4 that I really did not enjoy. What do I mean? Well, welcome to the Crystal Valley. And yes, I'm sure those of you watching from home who've played this are shouting at your screens right now that I need to go back to Orth. Because yes, this is the point where I should have just turned around and made my way back home. My bags are full. Aside from the umbrella, my weapons are almost gone, and I'm starting to run low on food. But no, I'm a moron, and I've forgotten how quests in this game are structured. The Crystal Valley. Where do I even start with you? It is, admittedly, another gorgeous zone. Some sort of ancient ruins, filled with artifacts, mostly hovering cubes that move in a set path, but you've also got instant death laser beams. It seems a bit confusing initially, and I'll admit to getting lost a few times, but all you need to remember is that if you see a laser blocking an obvious path, take note of it, and then look for these obelisks, as you can push them around, which will, if you do it right, cause the beam to be cut off somewhere, opening that way forward. Find it again, and you are golden. There's a bit of light platforming here, and a veritable army of respawning stingers and moths that get worse as you get further in. But nothing too bad as long as you watch your footing. Eventually, I find my way down to a lower area, a massive chamber filled to the brim with stingers and a massive bird thing called a light eater. All I can say is, do not give this legendary Pokemon any shit, as it'll push that shit right back in again. And this is where I realized that I had shot myself in the foot, because there is a backpack here with a very nice high-tier hatchet and a pair of pistols. These would be great if I had any ammo, but instead they take me from just underweight to almost 3 kilograms over. Rah! So now I have to dump a bunch of crafting mats. And even more annoyingly, this zone is loaded to the absolute gills with relics, and I cannot collect any of them. Yes, I'll be coming back here eventually, but it's still galling. The next area, the floating rocks, is more of the same. Just, well, yeah, more. It's a long, linear path, interspersed with puzzles. That reminds me quite a lot of the early Tomb Raider games. A ton of climbing, getting rid of obstacles to proceed further, and generally getting confused and going the wrong way. At this point, I'm sustaining myself on eggs, bird meat, and bugs, all killed courtesy of my umbrella, as I don't want to waste my last remaining big meal yet. But yeah, this zone is very slow and not especially fun. There are so many moths and stingers spawning that I had a cloud of them following me around. Fortunately, the instant death lasers work on enemies too. I do finally get through this place, which takes me a good long while. I slip past another light eater and wind up right back in the Crystal Valley. What? Okay, I see. Or at least I think I do. That entire bit is an optional loop of a zone that seems to be specifically designed for farming relics. Yeah, it was a complete waste, but noted. I take the exit back to the giant vine bridge, which pops me right out at the end of the zone, in the Mother of Pearl ruins, and this in turn takes me back to the Eternal Fortunes. Okay then, we must be getting to the end of the zone here, right? I am an idiot. Ugh. As I feared, the Eternal Fortunes now do indeed play home to swarms of amaranthine deceptors, nasty parasitic bugs that I do not want to screw with, mostly because I smell poison and I'm almost out of cures. So I run past them and down onto the lower area, where I find another zone transition, entering the deep tree remains. Another set of ruins that is, just really confusing. At last, I find my way down and run into, oh, that's just mean. I get slapped around a bit, count my lucky stars that it didn't whip me right off the edge, and then I get stuck. I don't know why, but this tree completely bamboozled me. What appears to be an obvious way down is just too steep to survive. Instead, you need to find the Python point and then spot that there is a tiny little climb next to it. I slog my way down and yeah, this is where I realize that I've done it again, because there's the entrance to Layer 5, what must be a boss arena, but I do not have the quest. Of course. I've just wasted a whole bunch of time for nothing. There's a breadcrumb quest waiting for me in North that I need to go and grab, which in turn means that I need to go all the way back up. And now I also need to figure out how to get back up through Layer 4, then Layer 3, then back down through Layer 3, and through Layer 4 again. Why do I do this to myself? So, with me running low on both food and weapons, how on earth am I going to accomplish this? Is the boss of Layer 4 going to be another joke? Whatever happened to Tiare? And what is waiting for us down there in the radiant abyss of Layer 5? For that, you'll have to wait until next time. I will say though, Layer 4 feels like it had a lot more effort and polish put into it than Layers 2 and 3, both in terms of visual design and general flow. It still has some of my binary star bugaboos, especially that fight against the Horncryers, and there are still too many areas where you'll spend more time waiting out the curse than pushing forwards. However, it all does work out okay. Just don't do what FrightRanker does. Go back up to Orth after you wrap up Rico's quests. Before we finish for the day, I want, as always, to give a huge thanks to my fantastic patrons: Astrixit Gaming, Cheerful Satanist, Starwin Marwin, High Lord J, Jacob Ramsey, Crazy, Say Rory, Lance Goebel, Paul Norberger, Piece of Yeast, Rafferty, Robert Dote, and XTC Pill. I frigging love you chaps. If you want to see more like this, why not stick around? December is going to be a banger. If you want to help make sure that I can keep doing what I do, why not take a look at our Patreon? You'll get some fun perks on the Discord, as well as early access to most of my videos. Anyways, take care my friends, and cheers. This is the Owl, signing off.